Have you ever wondered why some people navigate life's challenges with grace while others are easily overwhelmed? In the journey of personal development and self-mastery, understanding and refining our thinking processes is paramount. The Stoic philosophers, with their profound insights into human nature and the mind, provided a comprehensive framework for mastering different levels of thinking. This journey involves progressing through stages of perception, emotion, logic, reflection, judgment, and action. Each level builds upon the previous, creating a holistic approach to thinking that enhances our capacity for resilience, wisdom, and purposeful living. By mastering these levels, we align ourselves more closely with the principles of Stoicism, leading to a more balanced and fulfilling life. The importance of mastering these levels cannot be overstated. In our daily lives, we are constantly faced with challenges, decisions, and emotional upheavals that test our mental fortitude. By understanding and mastering these different levels of thinking, we equip ourselves with the tools necessary to navigate these challenges with grace and composure. This not only improves our own well-being, but also enhances our interactions with others, contributing to a more harmonious and just society. Stoicism, an ancient Greek philosophy founded in the early 3rd century BC, provides a robust framework for this journey. The Stoics believed in the power of reason and virtue as the foundation for a good life. They taught that by cultivating our ability to think clearly and rationally, we could achieve a state of inner peace and resilience that is impervious to external circumstances. This philosophy remains relevant today, offering valuable insights into how we can master our thoughts and emotions to live more fulfilling and virtuous lives. Level 1. Perception, seeing the world clearly. Perception is the foundational level of thinking in Stoic philosophy. It is the process by which we interpret and understand the world around us. The Stoics believe that clear and accurate perception is crucial because it forms the basis for all subsequent thought and action. To the Stoics, perception is not merely about sensory input, but also involves the mind's ability to discern the true nature of things. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus emphasized that it is not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. This highlights the importance of perception. How we see and interpret events directly influences our emotional responses and actions. A key Stoic practice is to constantly examine and challenge our perceptions to ensure they are aligned with reality. This involves questioning initial impressions, recognizing biases, and striving to see things as they truly are. By mastering perception, we gain clarity and objectivity. This clarity allows us to respond to situations with calmness and rationality, rather than being swept away by irrational judgments and emotions. In essence, clear perception is the first step towards wisdom and inner peace, providing a solid foundation upon which to build higher levels of thinking. To further understand the Stoic perspective on perception, consider the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers. In his work, Meditations, Marcus Aurelius often reflects on the importance of seeing things as they are, free from the distortions of desire and fear. He encourages us to strip away the superfluous and to view the world with simplicity and clarity. This practice of clear perception, he argues, helps us to remain grounded and focused on what truly matters. The process of refining our perception begins with self-awareness. We must become attuned to the ways in which our thoughts and emotions color our perception of reality. This requires a commitment to mindfulness and self-reflection, as well as a willingness to question our assumptions and beliefs. By cultivating this level of self-awareness, we can begin to identify and correct the cognitive distortions that cloud our judgment. Another important aspect of perception in Stoicism is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. The Stoics taught that while we cannot control external events, we can control our perceptions and responses to those events. This principle is encapsulated in the famous Stoic dichotomy of control, which encourages us to focus our efforts on what we can influence and to accept with equanimity what we cannot. By internalizing this principle, we can achieve greater clarity and composure in the face of life's challenges. In practice, mastering perception involves several key steps. First, we must develop the habit of pausing and reflecting before reacting to events. This pause allows us to examine our initial impressions and to consider whether they are accurate and helpful. Second, we must strive to view situations from multiple perspectives, seeking to understand the broader context and the viewpoints of others. This practice of empathy and open-mindedness helps to reduce bias and to enhance our understanding of reality. Third, we must cultivate a sense of detachment from our desires and fears. The Stoics taught that our perceptions are often distorted by our attachments and aversions. By learning to detach ourselves from these emotional influences, we can achieve a more objective and balanced view of the world. This does not mean becoming indifferent, but rather developing the ability to see things as they are, without being overly influenced by our personal preferences. Finally, we must practice gratitude and acceptance. The Stoics believe that by appreciating what we have and accepting what we cannot change, we can cultivate a more positive and realistic outlook on life. This practice of gratitude and acceptance helps to counteract the negative biases that often cloud our perception and to foster a sense of contentment and peace. Level 2. Emotion, Managing and Understanding. Emotion management is a critical aspect of Stoic philosophy, as emotions can significantly influence our thoughts and actions. The Stoics did not advocate for the suppression of emotions, but rather for understanding and managing them in a way that they do not control us. They recognized that emotions are natural responses, but emphasized the importance of not allowing these responses to dictate our behavior. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, wrote extensively about the power of emotions and the need to cultivate emotional resilience. According to Seneca, emotions like anger, fear, and grief stem from our judgments and perceptions. Therefore, by addressing the root cause, our thoughts, we can better manage our emotional responses. The Stoics taught that we should strive to achieve a state of apatheia, or freedom from destructive emotions. This does not mean becoming emotionless, but rather maintaining equanimity and composure regardless of external circumstances. By practicing techniques such as mindfulness, self-reflection, and rational analysis, we can learn to recognize emotional triggers and respond to them with greater wisdom and self-control. In mastering our emotions, we develop inner strength and tranquility. This emotional stability allows us to navigate life's challenges with grace and poise, fostering a sense of peace that is not easily shaken by external events. By understanding the origins and nature of our emotions, we can better manage them and prevent them from overwhelming us. One of the central tenets of Stoic emotional management is the concept of cognitive distancing. This involves creating a mental space between ourselves and our emotions, allowing us to observe them without becoming entangled in them. By practicing cognitive distancing, we can gain greater insight into our emotional responses and make more rational decisions. Another important aspect of Stoic emotional management is the practice of negative visualization. This involves contemplating potential negative outcomes and preparing ourselves mentally for them. By imagining worst-case scenarios, we can reduce the fear and anxiety associated with uncertainty and build emotional resilience. This practice helps us to appreciate what we have and to remain calm and composed in the face of adversity. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of maintaining a sense of proportion and perspective. They taught that many of our emotional reactions are disproportionate to the actual significance of events. By keeping things in perspective and focusing on what truly matters, we can avoid being overwhelmed by minor setbacks and inconveniences. This practice of maintaining perspective helps us to stay grounded and to respond to challenges with a balanced and measured approach. In addition to these techniques, The Stoics advocated for the cultivation of positive emotions such as joy, love, and gratitude. They believed that by nurturing these positive emotions, we could enhance our overall well-being and create a more fulfilling and meaningful life. The practice of cultivating positive emotions involves actively seeking out and appreciating the good in our lives, as well as fostering a sense of connection and compassion towards others. Overall, the Stoic approach to emotion management involves a combination of self-awareness, cognitive techniques, and positive practices. By understanding the nature of our emotions and learning to manage them effectively, we can achieve greater emotional stability and resilience. This, in turn, enhances our capacity for rational thought and virtuous action, allowing us to live in accordance with the principles of Stoicism. Level 3. Logic, developing rational thinking skills. Logic is the third level of thinking in Stoic philosophy and involves the development of rational thinking skills. The Stoics placed a high value on reason, viewing it as a defining characteristic of human beings and a crucial tool for living a virtuous life. Logical thinking allows us to analyze situations, make sound decisions, and solve problems effectively. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, emphasized the importance of logic in understanding the world and making wise choices. For the Stoics, logic was not just an abstract discipline, but a practical skill that could be applied to everyday life. They believed that by honing our logical faculties, we could better navigate the complexities of life and act in accordance with reason and virtue. Developing logical thinking involves cultivating skills such as critical analysis, deductive reasoning, and objective evaluation. It requires us to question assumptions, identify fallacies, and base our conclusions on evidence and rational thought. By practicing these skills, we become more adept at separating truth from falsehood and making decisions that are aligned with our values and goals. In mastering logic, we enhance our ability to think clearly and rationally. This level of thinking empowers us to approach problems methodically, make informed choices, and lead a life guided by reason and virtue. By integrating logic into our daily lives, we build a solid framework for continued personal growth and effective action. The Stoics believed that logic was essential for understanding the nature of the world and our place within it. They taught that by developing our logical faculties, we could gain greater insight into the workings of the universe and align our actions with its natural order. This, in turn, would lead to a more harmonious and fulfilling life. One of the key aspects of Stoic logic is the practice of Socratic questioning. This involves asking probing questions to examine the validity and soundness of our beliefs and assumptions. By engaging in this form of questioning, we can uncover inconsistencies and contradictions in our thinking and arrive at more accurate and reliable conclusions. Another important aspect of Stoic logic is the principle of correspondence, which emphasizes the need for our thoughts and beliefs to correspond with reality. The Stoics taught that by aligning our thoughts with the true nature of things, we could achieve greater clarity and understanding. This principle encourages us to seek out evidence and to base our beliefs on empirical observation and rational analysis. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of logical consistency. They believed that our thoughts and actions should be coherent and internally consistent, free from contradictions and inconsistencies. By striving for logical consistency, we can ensure that our beliefs and actions are aligned with our values and principles. In addition to these practices, the Stoics advocated for the cultivation of intellectual virtues such as wisdom, prudence, and discernment. They believed that by developing these virtues, we could enhance our capacity for rational thought and make better decisions. The practice of cultivating intellectual virtues involves a commitment to lifelong learning and self-improvement, as well as a willingness to question and refine our beliefs. Overall, the Stoic approach to logic involves a combination of critical thinking, empirical observation, and intellectual virtues. By developing our logical faculties and aligning our thoughts with reality, we can achieve greater clarity and understanding. This, in turn, enhances our capacity for rational action and virtuous living, allowing us to live in accordance with the principles of Stoicism. Level 4. Reflection. Engaging in deep self-examination. Reflection is the fourth level of thinking in Stoic philosophy and involves engaging in deep self-examination. The Stoics placed great emphasis on the practice of self-reflection as a means to achieve self-awareness and personal growth. By reflecting on our thoughts, actions, and emotions, we can gain insights into our character and identify areas for improvement. The Stoic philosopher Seneca frequently emphasized the importance of daily self-reflection. He advised his students to end each day by reviewing their actions and evaluating their conduct. This practice, he believed, would help them to recognize their mistakes and to cultivate virtues. By regularly reflecting on our behavior, we can develop a deeper understanding of our strengths and weaknesses and work towards becoming better individuals. Self-reflection involves more than just reviewing our actions. It also requires us to examine our motives and intentions. The Stoics taught that our actions should be guided by reason and virtue rather than by impulsive desires or emotions. By reflecting on our motivations, we can ensure that our actions are aligned with our values and principles. This practice of examining our intentions helps us to cultivate integrity and to act in accordance with our true selves. In addition to examining our motives, self-reflection also involves considering the consequences of our actions. The Stoics believed that we should take responsibility for the impact of our actions on others and on the world around us. By reflecting on the outcomes of our behavior, we can learn from our mistakes and make more thoughtful and responsible choices in the future. Another important aspect of Stoic reflection is the practice of memento mori, or the contemplation of death. The Stoics taught that by regularly reflecting on the impermanence of life, we could gain a greater appreciation for the present moment and live more fully. This practice of contemplating mortality helps us to prioritize what truly matters and to avoid being consumed by trivial concerns. Self-reflection also involves seeking feedback from others. The Stoics believed that by listening to the perspectives of others, we could gain valuable insights into our own behavior and character. This practice of seeking feedback helps us to recognize blind spots and to grow in humility and wisdom. By being open to constructive criticism, we can learn from others and improve ourselves. In practice, self-reflection involves setting aside time each day for introspection. This can be done through journaling, meditation, or simply sitting in quiet contemplation. The key is to create a space for honest and thoughtful examination of our thoughts, actions, and emotions. By making self-reflection a regular habit, we can develop greater self-awareness and continue to grow as individuals. Overall, the Stoic practice of reflection involves a combination of self-examination, contemplation of mortality, and seeking feedback from others. By engaging in deep self-reflection, we can gain insights into our character, identify areas for improvement, and cultivate virtues. This practice of reflection helps us to live more thoughtfully and intentionally, aligning our actions with our values and principles. Level 5. Judgment, making wise and virtuous decisions. Judgment is the fifth level of thinking in Stoic philosophy and involves making wise and virtuous decisions. The Stoics believed that good judgment is essential for living a virtuous life and achieving eudaimonia, or flourishing. Good judgment allows us to navigate the complexities of life, make sound choices, and act in accordance with reason and virtue. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus emphasized the importance of exercising good judgment in all aspects of life. He taught that our ability to make wise decisions is rooted in our understanding of what is truly valuable and important. According to Epictetus, good judgment involves distinguishing between what is within our control and what is not, and focusing our efforts on what we can influence. Good judgment requires a clear and rational understanding of the world. The Stoics believed that by cultivating our logical and critical thinking skills, we could enhance our capacity for good judgment. This involves questioning our assumptions, evaluating evidence, and considering different perspectives. By approaching decisions with a rational and open-minded attitude, we can make more informed and thoughtful choices. In addition to logical reasoning, the Stoics emphasized the importance of moral reasoning in making good judgments. They believed that our decisions should be guided by virtue and the principles of justice, courage, wisdom, and temperance. By aligning our actions with these virtues, we can ensure that our decisions are not only rational, but also morally sound. This practice of moral reasoning helps us to act with integrity and to contribute to the greater good. Another important aspect of Stoic judgment is the practice of prosauche, or attentive awareness. This involves being fully present and attentive to the situations and decisions we face. By cultivating this attentive awareness, we can avoid making impulsive or careless decisions and respond more thoughtfully to the challenges and opportunities that arise. This practice of prosauche helps us to stay focused and to make decisions that are aligned with our values and goals. The Stoics also taught that good judgment involves considering the long-term consequences of our actions. They believed that by taking a long-term perspective, we could avoid being swayed by short-term desires and temptations. This practice of considering the long-term impact of our decisions helps us to make choices that are sustainable and beneficial in the long run. By focusing on long-term goals and values, we can make decisions that support our overall well-being and contribute to a meaningful and fulfilling life. In practice, making wise and virtuous decisions involves a combination of rational and moral reasoning, attentive awareness, and long-term perspective. It requires us to be mindful of our values and principles, and to consider the broader impact of our actions. By cultivating good judgment, we can navigate the complexities of life with wisdom and integrity, making decisions that are aligned with our true selves and our highest ideals. Overall, the Stoic practice of judgment involves a thoughtful and intentional approach to decision-making. By exercising good judgment, we can make wise and virtuous choices that support our overall well-being and contribute to a meaningful and fulfilling life. This practice of judgment helps us to live in accordance with reason and virtue, aligning our actions with our values and principles. Level 6. Action. Applying thought to purposeful living. Action is the sixth and final level of thinking in Stoic philosophy, and involves applying our thoughts and principles to purposeful living. The Stoics believe that true wisdom is not just about thinking and understanding, but also about acting in accordance with our values and principles. Action is the ultimate expression of our thoughts and beliefs, and it is through our actions that we bring our ideas to life. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of translating our thoughts into action. In his work, Meditations, he frequently reflects on the need to act with purpose and intention, guided by reason and virtue. He taught that our actions should be aligned with our values and principles, and that we should strive to live in a way that is consistent with our highest ideals. Purposeful living involves setting clear and meaningful goals and taking deliberate steps to achieve them. The Stoics believed that by identifying our values and priorities, we could create a sense of direction and purpose in our lives. This practice of setting goals helps us to stay focused and motivated, and to make decisions that are aligned with our long-term vision and aspirations. In addition to setting goals, purposeful living involves taking responsibility for our actions and their impact on the world. The Stoics taught that we should be mindful of the consequences of our actions and strive to act in a way that contributes to the greater good. This practice of taking responsibility helps us to cultivate a sense of accountability and to act with integrity and compassion. Another important aspect of Stoic action is the practice of perseverance. The Stoics believe that we should remain steadfast and resilient in the face of challenges and setbacks. By cultivating the virtue of perseverance, we can stay committed to our goals and continue to take purposeful action even when faced with difficulties. This practice of perseverance helps us to maintain a sense of determination and to overcome obstacles with grace and resilience. The Stoics also emphasized the importance of acting with humility and recognizing the limits of our control. They taught that while we should strive to achieve our goals and make a positive impact, we should also accept that some outcomes are beyond our control. This practice of humility helps us to stay grounded and to focus on what we can influence without becoming overly attached to specific results. In practice, applying thought to purposeful living involves a combination of goal setting, responsibility, perseverance, and humility. It requires us to take deliberate and intentional action that is aligned with our values and principles. By living purposefully, we can create a sense of meaning and fulfillment in our lives and contribute to the well-being of others and the world around us. Overall, the Stoic practice of action involves translating our thoughts and principles into purposeful living. By taking deliberate and intentional action, we can bring our ideas to life and create a meaningful and fulfilling existence. This practice of action helps us to live in accordance with reason and virtue and to make a positive impact on the world. The journey through the 6 levels of thinking in Stoic philosophy, perception, emotion, logic, reflection, judgment, and action, offers a comprehensive framework for achieving self-mastery and living a life of virtue and purpose. By systematically developing and refining these aspects of our thought processes, we can cultivate clarity, emotional resilience, rationality, self-awareness, wise decision-making, and purposeful action. These qualities are not only the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy, but also essential for leading a fulfilling and meaningful life. Integrating Stoic thinking into daily life involves being mindful of our perceptions, managing our emotions, applying logical reasoning, engaging in self-reflection, exercising good judgment, and taking deliberate action aligned with our values. The teachings of Stoic philosophers such as Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus provide timeless wisdom, offering a roadmap for personal development and self-mastery. In a world that is often chaotic and unpredictable, the Stoic approach to thinking provides a source of stability and strength. It empowers us to navigate the complexities of life with clarity, composure, and integrity. By mastering these 6 levels of thinking, we achieve greater control over our minds, make better decisions, and live in harmony with our true selves and the world around us. This journey requires dedication, discipline, and a willingness to challenge ourselves, but it is deeply rewarding, offering the promise of a life rich in meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. Embracing the principles of Stoic philosophy and committing to these practices allows us to transform our thinking and live more virtuous, purposeful lives, ultimately becoming the best version of ourselves.